Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ordinary Humans, Extraordinary Choices, a podcast about ordinary humans who've navigated periods of their life in extraordinary ways. The goal of this podcast is to show you that you can begin making extraordinary choices at any stage of your life to start making progress towards your dreams, and that you never have to accept that today needs to be anything like yesterday was. I'm your host, Vamsi, and today's guest is Ligea. Welcome, Ligea.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show. So Ligea is a friend of mine. We met in Coach Cupcake's School of Support Discord. I would say that she is interested in learning about many things. She's interested in poetry, Edgar Allan Poe especially. Ligea is actually a character from one of his poems, I believe. And she's interested in the game League of Legends. She's also interested in speleology, which is the study of caves. It's a subfield of geology, I believe, which is your main field.
Geography and geology, yes.
Geography and geology.
Geography.
Not
Yes.
geology, but just geography.
It can be both, but mostly geography. The two are kind of similar, and it can get. I can't find really the word.
Okay.
Like, sorry, never mind.
No, it's fine. You can always take time to think about it.
No, you can just continue what you wanted to say because
Okay.
I forgot the word what I wanted to use.
Sure. Yeah, and just in general, she's interested in science, philosophy, art as well. As well as it seemed like you were interested in exploring nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
also dark spaces. You're interested in animals, including bats and cave-dwelling animals, but all sorts of animals and insects and various creatures.
True.
What about plants? I guess we never discussed.
Yeah, I'm fine with plants, you know. I don't know. I haven't really explored them as much as I did other stuff, but I did have a lesson in university, and that is biogeography. So
Mhm.
we had to learn a lot about plants and where different plants live, in which parts of the world, how they look like, to recognize a lot of plants. So, I know a little bit, but definitely not as much as people who actually explore plants, like botanists and I don't know, biologists and people, yeah,
Mhm.
are interested in that.
And were there any like major interests that I missed? I think the Adams Family was one as well, and goth culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
Um, Somewhat, yes, actually. Uh, I like goth music, but I've never called myself a goth, you know?
Hmm.
I like the style, I like the music, but I've never put the label on myself. I'm like, yeah, I like it, I vibe with it, but I won't put any labels.
Hmm.
So, yes, and I don't know, you forgot about dance.
Tango,
That's
of
a big
course,
one.
milongas, and yeah, all of that that you've been explaining to me. And what about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely tango, one of your big hobbies. Milongas are the. Could you describe milongas for the audience? What is a milonga?
Now, yes.
Sorry, what? Is there a delay for you?
Well, yeah, it's a delay. There
Okay.
is a delay.
Okay. One moment. Let me just see if
Should I
maybe.
exit and then?
Yeah, you can try that. See if it works. Might be because I'm streaming and uploading a Google Drive file. I will check
Is
on
it
that.
better? I hear you. It's fine right now, I think.
Yeah, it looks like the last episode is still uploading to Google Drive. It'll be done in 1 minute, so we'll just see if it improves in a minute. And yeah, sorry to all the
Okay.
all the listeners for some of the technical issues we're facing here. How's the delay for you right now?
It's okay. I hear you normally, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so you mentioned, I forgot to mention dance. So yeah, tango is one of your big hobbies. Could you explain to the viewers like what a milonga is in tango?
Yes, it's a tango party. Like it's a dance evening where you dress up and you go to. It's sort of like a party, but it's not in clubs or anything. You enter like a hall, and then there is a lot of people who also dance tango. So there is tango music in the background, and everybody is dancing,
Hmm.
and then you can drink something and sit with your friends and chat, and then stand up and dance again. It's really fun. It's for people who dance tango and who want to dance outside of classes, you know.
Hmm.
It's a social thing.
And there was something you told me about how a milonga feels when you're in it, right?
Um, y- I can't remember what I've told you, but it feels like everybody's dancing for themselves, but also dancing as one. I can't explain really. It's like water or something.
Hmm.
Um, it's really interesting because every couple, uh, ev- everybody's dancing for themselves is in pairs. But also when you look from like a bigger picture, if
Hmm.
you look outside, it looks like everybody's synchronized, and it's really fun. It's an amazing feeling, and you kind of don't see it yourself when you actually dance, but when you actually just step outside and see the big picture, it just makes you feel so like proud of the community and proud of yourself for being in it and proud of all the people
Hmm.
who dance so well and who just express themselves in the best way possible.
I'm trying to envision what that's like because, yeah, a lot of what you just described is what I remember you telling me. It's like a river, you're flowing as part of it, and the sum
Yes.
of people are somehow greater than just, the parts combined. There's an emergent
Mm,
quality
hmm.
to the dance. And do you find that it connects you with the people there over time?
uh yeah, definitely, and I've made a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
um you don't dance with everybody. I mean, you can if you want to, and I have friends that really like to change partners every milonga and just dance with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a little bit shy in the beginning, and I think that I still am. And I start off really like I dance first with people that I know from classes that are like established friends and that I can ask directly.
Mm-hmm.
Because in tango you don't ask directly, you know. You have the whole, you look you look somebody in the eyes, which is a little bit hard for me, and then you a man is calling a woman for a dance by nodding his head, like trying to invite her.
Mm-hmm.
And if she nods her head too, it's a confirmation, yes, we will dance. And then they meet and then they start dancing. And that's how you actually ask somebody in tango. You don't approach and say, hey, do you want to dance? Unless it's a person that you really know well, so you can just be like, hey, you want to dance or something. But it's very rare. You don't do that with other people. You do that only with your really close friends. And like, often the newbies do that because they're uncomfortable. So we just like dance with each other, and later we start dancing with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Um,
So it's
yeah, I was
non-verbal.
shy for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was shy for a little bit, but it's
Okay,
fun.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
can you repeat the question? I think that I went off topic.
No, I think you answered the question fine. And then you went into some interesting detail about how tango itself works, which is fine. Um, I guess my next question for you, I am curious about your other major hobby, which is speleology, right? The
Hmm.
exploration of caves, the study of caves, cave structures, cave formations.
Hmm.
Tell me about the last trip you took into a cave and what you were looking to learn
Mm,
from it.
okay, so I wouldn't really call that a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
since I'm studying to become a speleologist, and that will be my profession one day, I think.
Mm-hmm. So it's a
I
career.
mean, yeah, I hope that it will be my career
Mm-hmm.
one day. Um, who knows where life is gonna take me, but I'm studying right now to become a speleologist.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean just to explore the caves and go into the caves themselves. That's the fun part, of course, but the other fun part is actually like thinking about how they're made and why are they there, and all the like mapping them out. It's really cool and it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the last trip we took was um, at the southeast of the place where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
So it was with my friends from university and two of our professors, one who is teaching speleology and the other who is on paleogeography. That's part of geography that focuses most on um, geography and the formations in the past, the climates in the past, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like geological past. I don't mean like 200 years ago, I mean 2 million years ago.
So paleontology has to do with fossils and dinosaurs. Is that more about the time period that they were from rather than specifically dinosaurs? So when you talk about paleogeography, you mean like ancient
Uh,
history.
Paleontology
Yeah.
is specifically about like fossils,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know about paleontology. It focuses, paleo means old.
Okay.
Um, so it means like when you say paleogeography, it means that it's geography that happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of sciences work together to figure out how the past on Earth looked. And
Mm-hmm.
when we say past, as I said, we mean like since, I don't know, since Had, and I don't know how you say it, but since since geological past, like actual past, not since humanity.
Even pre-humanity, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Mm-hmm. Okay, and yeah,
millions,
dinosaurs were around
billions
before.
years ago, like
Yeah.
billions years ago. We're talking about since the Earth. Um,
How deep would they have
hmm.
to like drill to access that? Or do they find like formations that have been eroded by water so they can access depth at ground level? How do they do it?
What do you mean? Can you specify a little
So
bit?
I assume that really old stuff would be deep under layers of sediment and built up material, right?
Oh,
Or
you mean
is
that?
that
Okay,
incorrect?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's somewhat correct, somewhat incorrect, because
Mm-hmm.
the Earth is very fluid, you know. It geomorphology teaches us that um, a lot of stones that were previously underneath, they can come on top just because of some tectonic changes
Mm-hmm.
or erosion or something like that. So it's more than like digging deep.
Mm-hmm.
For something you will have to dig deep, definitely, but for some things they just naturally come on top, even though they are older. if
Mm-hmm.
you get what I mean.
It makes sense. So maybe there's a kind of churning that happens vertically, bringing
Oh
lower
yes,
rocks and
definitely.
earth up to the top.
Yes, definitely, and
Yeah.
a lot of um tectonic changes, like tectonic movements, and yeah, definitely it
Mm-hmm.
it does change.
Okay, interesting.
There are different type of folds, and
Mm-hmm.
I won't get much into it, but
Okay, I'm going to move us now from all this highly technical talk into beauty, art, and poetry.
mhm.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
um I'm when you say like let's talk about art and poetry, it's
Mm-hmm.
so broad that I don't know even where to start.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure
So tell me about
what
Edgar
you
Allan
want me
Poe
to.
then.
Okay, so he's one of my favorite poets and writers, and he's like for the Victorian era,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like from the 19th century, and he wrote a lot of quite eerie and creepy
Hmm.
short stories and poems, and it's really well done. Some people say that he was like the first one who wrote a murder mystery,
Hmm.
which is the murders in the uh wait, how wait, I need to search it in English. Sorry. I know the translated version. Um
That's fine. MTest
in
was looking up
in
Swedish
morgue.
words in English
Wait.
as well.
Yeah, the murders in the Rue Morgue.
Rue
Um
morgue. Okay. The morgue is where
yes.
bodies are stored, correct? Cadavers.
No, no, no.
No?
Um
Different morgue.
it's no, it's just the name of the street.
Okay.
Rue Morgue is like rue, because in French, rue means the street, so
Hmm.
it's just the rue morgue. um, but yeah, he definitely chose the word morgue because it had a different connotation too.
Okay.
um, and some say that it's the first murder mystery, but I doubt that he was really the first.
Hmm.
um, Yeah, he was definitely one of the first people who entered like who created something that will inspire so many more in
Hmm.
the future. But I don't think he was the first. And there is a lot to be learned from his poetry, a lot of beauty appreciated, like beauty in some creepiness, in some strangeness. And there is a quote from Edgar Allan Poe that I really love,
Hmm.
which is, there is no exquisite beauty without some strangeness in return.
Right.
And I appreciate it a lot, and I love that.
The trade-off. Because I was about to say, he probably would show you a kind of contrast in his work. If it's macabre, creepy, eerie, unsettling, and then you see glimpses of beauty in that context, the beauty is much, much more appreciable. I haven't actually
Yes,
read his work, I don't think, but.
and also
Hmm.
things he writes about. For example, the black cat.
Hmm.
I think it's the black cat. Yes. He writes. You cannot believe what you're reading. Like you're reading from perspective of somebody who is like you don't want to be involved with that human being.
Hmm.
You're like, and Edgar Allan Poe was really brilliant at like describing mindsets of people who are just
Hmm.
horrible, and getting deep into that. And he had some really, really like soft stuff. And Annabelle Lee is, for example, like how much he loved his like wife or girlfriend, or I mean the not Edgar Allan Poe as Edgar Allan Poe, but as um a protagonist, how
Hmm.
much protagonist loved somebody. And you get those types of works. For example, the Rue Morgue story, the murders in the Rue Morgue.
Hmm.
The protagonists want to solve the murder. They're like, and actually, the protagonists remind me of you and me
Hmm.
because they're obsessed with things and they just lock themselves up in a room and they don't get out for 7 days and they just think and analyze and go deep into like into thoughts and just you know and I those types of protagonists are really fun to read about,
Hmm.
and the story is cool. But when you read something like The Black Cat, you're like, holy, somebody's thinking like this. Oh my god, what's happening? And then you kind of, you know, I I don't know how to explain it.
Hmm.
Um, you appreciate how much he could um explain, how much he could um write about something that is so horrific.
Hmm. From the
And
perspective of the people perpetuating the horrors,
yes,
right?
yes, for example,
Hmm.
there is a lot of stories where justice is served and
Hmm.
you feel like, okay, I really I'm happy that justice was served.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are stories or poems where justice is not served. And then you feel the dread of it and you feel defeated. And that's a beauty in art, you know? He could make you feel the defeat. He
Mm-hmm.
could he could literally make you feel like hopeless. And when somebody can just make you feel something else with their work, something that even the wrong, not wrong, oh my god, no emotion is wrong. What's the word I'm looking for? Um, it's not bad, it's just negative. Yes, negative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when somebody can make you feel a lot of things, even though they're negative, you tend to appreciate it, and you're like, that was gut wrenching. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense. So I've always been drawn to, I think I told you, right? I've interviewed psychopaths or diagnosed sociopaths or narcissists, like people whose minds can be difficult to relate to. But I find that if I try hard enough, I can empathize with them. If I ask enough detailed questions, I can get into their mind. But now my question is, how did Edgar Allan Poe do it without taking on some of that burden himself and potentially going, in some ways, mad himself?
Um, I'm not I'm not quite sure about his personal life and
Hmm.
his biography though, but I do think that he was a little bit mad himself.
Right.
Like he definitely used opium. I think that a lot of poets at that time used morphium and opium and everything like that to just um to write or you know let me just quick to just Google a little bit about him because I really like his poetry, but I completely like I appreciate the art, but I don't know much about the artist himself. I know
Hmm.
that he was like in love with his cousin or something, and that he married his cousin,
Hmm.
and that's like I know that he's from Boston, that he was born from Boston, and that he died, I think, in Maryland somewhere.
Hmm.
And he died fairly young, like at 40 or something.
Do we
Um,
know what killed him?
uh, I'm not sure. I know that, yeah, and also, he definitely likes some booze and
Hmm.
alcohol, and I think Tom just reminded me of it. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Um,
He probably
yeah,
mixed booze and opium and all the other
yeah,
drugs. Yeah.
he definitely, I think, was mad himself, but
Hmm.
I'm um yeah, I don't know much about his life and his biography,
Hmm.
but I appreciate his art a lot.
So I wonder if he had some dark tendencies himself, and the way that he
Probably,
manifested that
yes.
darkness was through art and poetry and expression, rather than, becoming a serial killer.
I think that he openly said in some of his letters that yes, he definitely had some dark sides
Mhm. I think
and
everybody does, whether they want to admit it or not.
no, absolutely yes, but
Hmm.
it's um the thing is Um, the dark sides, like that, we all have it. We all have those inside of us, and sometimes they get triggered by outside world and stuff, happening to us. But even though we're not responsible for things that happened in our lives, we are kind of responsible to how we're gonna heal from them and how we're gonna react to them.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that makes sense to you.
It makes sense to me. Yeah, I'm responsible for myself today. I have to be. Who else is going to be? Nobody, right? Maybe when I was a kid, my parents were responsible for me to some degree, but I think I gained an increasing degree of self responsibility as I gained agency, the ability to make decisions, the ability to value things and to have preferences and all that. I think even babies have preferences, right? It's just hard for them to communicate them or, exercise agency and take the things that they
Mm.
want from their environment and use them. Um, I guess my question for you then is, what do you think draws you to this strangeness? Because it seems like it's not just Edgar Allan Poe. It is the Addams Family. It is probably the art or even the drawing that you are attracted to, the kind of poetry, the sad, emotional Serbian poetry you told me about the other day, as well as even dark caves, right? Caves hold
Mm.
lots of unexpected horrors in a way, or
Well,
surprises, let's say.
you see, I really appreciate the dark and macabre stuff
Mm-hmm.
because um, I don't know. It just fascinates me, you know. I'm fascinated by it, but I also appreciate it because so many people turn away from it and want to forget about the dark and want to run away from it. But actually, it can be very beautiful and poetic, you
Mm-hmm.
know. For example, seeing death not as something that will take somebody away from you, but just a natural cycle that will happen to us and something that it is permanent and we will all get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why not appreciate it? It is a thing that will happen eventually. Why not appreciate it, you know? Why not? I don't mean actually rush towards it in
Mm-hmm.
any way. I just mean respect that it's gonna happen, respect its its existence. And so many people try to run away from the dark, from the macabre, from all that forms of like somebody has to love that too. It's so, you know, you kind of empathize with it. Like it's so dark and unlovable, and you're like, no, I refuse that it's unlovable. I will love it, and it's not. And I'm talking about this as if this was a choice. It's not like a choice, like I'm choosing to love something. I'm still fascinated by it, and but it's just a thing that happened. You know, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then the I started analyzing myself and trying to find out why I liked those things, and I realized that it's because they seem so unlovable and weird and creepy and you know I don't know. I just am like I had empathy for those things and I just like them.
Hmm.
Which doesn't mean that I support like psychopaths killing people. Don't get me wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't find beauty in actual wars and murder and um crimes against humanity. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding beauty in poetry and expressing that dark side in some poetic way, some creative way that is not harmful to anybody.
I'm surprised that you didn't become a kind of like fungi researcher or scavenger researcher or like death and decay, researcher.
I um I'm surprised too, to be honest. I was looking at, for example, not death and decay, but yeah, some
Decomposition, let's say.
decomposition, for example. Yeah, I was thinking about not really decomposition as itself, but like studying human remains,
Mm-hmm.
forensic anthropology or archaeology, but archaeology is for the past and forensic anthropology is for right now, I think. Correct me if I have it twisted around or something, but
Sounds right. I don't know too much about it.
yeah, that did get my attention,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, my love for speleology is just really strong.
Okay.
And it's
You.
like some it feels like I am actually um one of the first seminars that I was on in the science center that I was in. was called the forensic of the nature, and it's like you're trying to just like you said, like you're trying to be a forensicist. Is that how you call it? But for
Wait,
nature, not for people, not for crime scenes, but everything that is surrounding you.
so you're a forensic analyst for what? Like studying how nature itself formed? On what time span? Like tens of years, hundreds of years, thousands of years?
You see, there is a lot to be said about time spans. For example, a river can be changed within a year or within a month if there is a flood,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some relief. How do you call it? Like terrain differences that can only be formed by millions of years,
Mm-hmm.
maybe billions. Since Earth sublination and stuff like that.
Makes
And
sense.
Caledon and it this time span is a little bit different, but I'm not familiar enough with forensic sciences to call myself anything near it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't use a term that I'm not familiar with.
Well, you've already given a pretty good summary of it there, an explanation of why a forensic scientist would need to be flexible on timelines, time spans. They would need to understand which objects constitute which time spans, how broad. But may I cook for a moment here?
You sure? Burn the kitchen down.
Burn the kitchen down. Yeah. The image that any viewers would be seeing on the right side is that your favorite character from the Adams family?
Yes, it's Morticia
Mm-hmm.
Adams.
Morticia.
hmm
And if you add an N to Morticia, what do you get?
Yeah, it's Mortician. Yeah, I was thinking about that type of a job.
Mm-hmm.
However, um, there are two things that are kind of that makes it difficult for me to become a mortician. First thing is, in where I live, we don't really embalm bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We we don't have that type of like preserving the body thing, and
You probably
it
don't
just
do open casket funerals.
yeah, not like you can, but it's very rare. It's very in some and they do not wear the makeup that people in America or I don't know where else, for example, probably in Canada too,
Mm-hmm.
but they are not. You can open the casket to see the person one last time, but that's not very common. Um,
And will they be rotting away
and
when you do, or
pretty sure yes. Um,
so you'd enjoy that?
like what?
Would you enjoy that?
What? Being a mortician or rotting away in
No, seeing a
what?
rotting away corpse when someone opens the casket and you're
Oh
at the
no no no
funeral.
no!
You wouldn't.
They're not that old of a corpse. It's
Okay.
it's been like 3 days maximum since they're passing.
Okay. So.
So I actually have seen like somebody in a casket,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually a thing with like church higher ups, how priests, but like in very high positions,
I don't know, the Pope,
like patriarch.
cardinals,
Yeah,
patron.
it's not Pope,
Yeah.
but it's patriarch.
Okay.
They're called patriarch, and when they die, or when some other higher ups in the church die, when there is their funeral, they kind of have an open casket.
Mm-hmm.
But like the body is not that, they do put the bodies in the freezer and in the morgue or something.
Mm-hmm. So they preserve
So
them.
they're not rotting away. But the point of like mortician's job, I think, is that preserve the body way long term, not just for 3 days until the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the body will be probably intact in 10 years time or something.
What about doing autopsies?
That's interesting too. I was thinking about it too, but Unfortunately, I'm one person that when I set a goal for myself, I am very hesitant to do something else until I achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
So I set a goal for myself to finish geography and to become a speleologist and stuff like that. So anything else that comes up to my mind, I'm like, okay, later. if I'm still interested in it later, especially because I was discouraged from it from an early age because oh, you're watching too many like documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching too many true crime things, and I'm like, I didn't even start watching true crime until I was interested in I was interested in forensics first before I started um watching those true crime and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm very I value commitment a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and until I finish one goal, I probably won't try another.
It's probably a good way to go, to be monomaniacal about one thing at a time. How much of that pressure that you experienced as a child or a teenager, adolescent, to not engage in these activities or interests, how much of that do you think was because you were young? And how much of that do you think was because you were a woman? And how much of that might have just been cultural, right? Like maybe in the culture it was considered wrong to look at those things or counterproductive by your parents or society or whoever.
Um, mm, I don't truly know. I was encouraged to learn a lot
Mm-hmm.
and to learn about things that interest me, so that's not something that was um I was mocked. I was like
By who?
it was kind um sometimes by family, sometimes by peers, sometimes, you know. Um that didn't stop me from learning though.
Mm-hmm.
Um I'm trying to think, sorry.
Take your time. You have plenty of time.
I don't think some things definitely were discouraged because I was a woman, but it wasn't like you're not smart enough because you're a woman or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It was more like, oh, that's not a like very feminine job.
Right. You don't
Or
want to be cutting
for
open bodies as a woman kind of thing.
yeah.
You'll chip a
Yeah,
nail.
yeah. No, not like you're chip a nail, but
Yeah.
more like that's a tedious job. You will like um
You'll get
you will
bored of it?
get blood on
Oh,
no, you will get blood on your
it's
hand.
a
It's a
gory
muddy
job.
job.
Right.
It's a gory job. Like
Sure.
that's not for a woman. Um
Mm-hmm.
so in that type of way, not because like you're less smart than a man, but more of that's like
The,
disgusting
the wrong
type
kind
of
of
thing.
job.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's like too disgusting to do if you're a woman.
And yet you
And
were
I don't think so.
fascinated where others were disgusted.
Yeah, I was absolutely fascinated. It was really and actually here's the thing also. My family my family for a long time, especially on one side of my family, uh they were kind of they didn't hate me, they didn't dislike me, but they were kind of worried about me because they're kind of religious.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go to church and they fast and everything,
Is it
very
Catholicism or
proper.
Christianity or what is it?
It's Orthodox Christianity,
Okay, got it.
and they're very like religious.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my issues with smell is that I cannot stand the smell of sage.
Mm-hmm.
And I really cannot.
And
And I hate churches because they are very loud and everything is echoing.
mm-hmm.
And the priests are scary. Like they're really scary. They're wearing like long black uniforms and they are singing something that I can't understand, but that is very like scary to me. And everybody is talking, like not talking really. You don't talk in church, but you kind of hear some whispers, and the priest is singing something, and everything is echoing, and the sage stinks, and you just I hated church. I hated when a priest would come to our house to, because there are some traditions where a priest is supposed to come to your house and put sage around and like cleanse the water and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated it, and I was always running away, and I didn't want to be there. So my family was kind of like, okay, what's wrong with her? Is she a demon or something?
Is she possessed by a
And
demon? We need to get a priest to do an exorcism. Maybe this
no, not
explains her
we
fascination with.
don't
Yeah.
we don't really believe in like possessions, demon possessions, and
Okay.
stuff like that. But they definitely were like antichrist type of thing. You
Okay.
know, is she like what's wrong with her? And I still hate the smell of sage.
Mm-hmm.
I still do. Um, and that was also one of the things that they were like, oh, that's not proper. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, I would think that those type of things and discouragements discourage me from pursuing some forensics. But that would be a passion of mine if I pursued it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will pursue it in the future, but currently I'm not pursuing it.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because once you master speleology or get like really good at it, you could maybe marry it with one of your other loves, such as I'm thinking forensics inside caves, or even, finding, I guess, carcasses of cave animals or insects or, bats or things that have already died, and then studying the way that they decay over time, or doing
Mm.
autopsies on them, or things like that, right? Or even like you could do live studies, I guess, right? You could feed bats a certain thing and see how they progress and measure them on certain traits if that's what interests you. But it seems like, actually, how would that interest you? Like live bats versus working with dead
No,
ones? Yeah.
no, I'm fine with. I'm not really interested. I'm interested in reading other people's work, but I'm not
Hmm.
really interested in doing my own. For example,
Okay.
there were this conference that I was on, and there was a biologist that did study some bats in the caves
Hmm.
that we visited later, and he did a really well done study about how different types of bars in caves. Um, Bars as in like a lot of caves are locked
Hmm.
because a lot of people unfortunately have some crazy ideas that in caves there are like um hidden treasure, and they dig up the grave,
Hmm.
not the grave, like, but they want to dig up the treasure that is not actually there.
Hmm.
And and a lot of people go there and start like camping inside with fire, and it's really, first of all, it's dangerous for humans, it's dangerous for the nature inside of the cave. So caves are locked up,
Hmm.
and he was studying about how bars in caves in how they affect bats, because if they are horizontal, it's really bad for bats because they cannot pass through it. They get confused, they think. So it's really bad for bats, but if they are vertical, they can easily pass through it, and it's much better for the cave and for the bats. And I appreciate those type of research, but I don't think that I would do it on my own,
Hmm.
like biology in that type of sense.
Or zoology. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's part of biology, right?
Yep.
But I'm interested in reading about it, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to. And when I say studying, for example, remains or something, I mean animals and humans, but I don't even know what the profession, what the career choice, what the science is called. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure it's forensic anthropology, but I'm still not 100% sure what that's the correct term.
Hmm.
But that's something that I would like to pursue one day
Hmm.
because it does seem very fun. It you kind of, I don't know, you get to know what happened to people,
Hmm.
what happened to that animal. what happened to, you know, you get a lot of questions about it
It's like
that a lot
solving a
of
murder
people don't want.
mystery, but designed by nature, not by an author.
Um, maybe, maybe. I have a lot of people who are into archaeology,
Mm-hmm.
and um, in the science center where I am, uh, uh, there was a discovery about uh, more than 50 human remains in the cave that was near the science center.
Wow.
And it was funny because our professor was going before, and like there was our professor who is speleologist,
Mm-hmm.
and then there 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 was a professor who taught archaeology, and the archaeologist was walking first,
Mm-hmm.
and then our professor, and then it was us. And it was a mixture between like geographers and then um, archaeologists. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "Hey, I think this is a skull," because we couldn't get to that canal, um, because it's always watery. It's always full of water, but this year it was really bad dry season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there were no water, and you can walk through that canal. And he was like, "Hey, this is a skull," and he just picked up the skull and was like, "Huh, okay." And it was actually really big discovery, and it's one of the biggest like mass graves from 4th century
Mm-hmm.
in cave in Europe, I think. So it's like a massive discovery, and it was actually really fun working with archaeologists on that,
Mm-hmm.
because you know it it was just really really fun. And they showed us like their techniques, how they see what gender the skeleton was, what uh like what age they were, and it was really fun. A lot of things I actually forgot by now,
Mm-hmm.
but I appreciated, and I was so fascinated by it. And as I said, I don't know if I would go into like forensic anthropology or archaeology, because I wouldn't mind doing either of those.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fun, I think. And I really appreciate people who do that, and I would love to learn about that more.
Mm-hmm. But speleology is still like number one
For now.
for now. Yeah, it could change. Fair enough. Tell me what you think of the idea that all life is problem solving.
What do you mean by all life?
All of life, meaning I guess the experience of life,
Oh,
living your life, not like deer and plants as that kind of life. No.
mm, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's just problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot to be learned. There is a lot to be asked. There is um a lot of questions. There is a lot of answers to be found. There is a lot of new opportunities. I agree with that. But there is also a side of life to just appreciate something and just look a little bit back
Mm-hmm.
and just appreciate the beauty, the art, the everything, that life
Mm-hmm.
is. And that probably like the circle of life is. I don't know, it's not always just finding a problem and solving the problem and being on action 100% like all of the time. It's just slowing down and touching the grass sometimes,
Mm. And
if that makes sense to you.
yeah, and I guess that's what you do with Ria, your dog, every day, right? You get to experience
Mm,
that appreciation.
yes, I get to just walk and like appreciate that I'm this being on
Hmm.
this huge planet in this huge universe. Like, it's so big, and I'm yet appreciative that I'm still there.
Do you like to feel, I guess, like get that sense that you're a small, insignificant part of this universe, and yet somehow also paradoxically, meaningfully existing within it, you know?
It can get scary.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how small we are. A piece of dust in like enormously dusty home, like a home hundreds of years of old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we're one atom of the piece of the dust. Like, we are so insignificant and so small.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're kind of like, yes, but look at everything that we are. Even though we are so small, we still feel, we still think, we still have experiences that we can share. We still have. My dog just entered my room. I'm sorry if you heard that. She just opened the door as if she had hands.
Maybe she does.
Sorry. No, she just jumps
Handle.
on the handle, yes, and just opens the door.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So yeah, it can get a little bit scary, but when you look at the big picture, you're kind of grateful that you're part of something that huge.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our um, astronomers in the science center,
Mm-hmm.
they taught us about how the Big Bang happened, how like they taught us a lot about space, and they 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 taught us about how uh, like hmm, I forgot actual quote. So some if somebody who is really knowledgeable in space is listening and I'm wrong, please correct me. But pieces of dying stars actually made the elements that are kind of in us right now, that we are made of,
Mm-hmm.
and we're kind of all have pieces of stars in us, you know.
We're
It
made of
just
stardust. Yeah.
somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I will try to find actually a quote, because some 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 professor was teaching about it, but my memory is kind of screwed right now because I haven't read it in a long time. But yeah, if somebody who is listening is more knowledgeable, please correct me because I'm not an astronomer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about it. I do love stars, but as a map, as a geographer, as mathematical geography thing,
Mm-hmm.
rather than space itself.
As a high school student, and also I guess elementary school, I remember I wanted to be a cosmologist, wanted to study the
Oh,
cosmos, understand planets, black holes, stars, nebulae, all of that.
why didn't you?
Couple of different reasons. I tried to do AP math in high school, realized I was really bad at math. Tom over here might do an episode with me where he helps me get better at math, or at least teaches me some interesting conceptual math, which might get me more interested in it. A lot of the physics needed was math intensive to some degree. The other thing was I had a bad experience with my high school science teacher. Basically,
Oh,
I,
that sucks.
I had a lot of respect for him. I told him I wanted to be a cosmologist. And at a parent teacher conference, he told my parents, "Oh, yeah, Vamsi wants to be a cosmetologist, right?" And I immediately lost all respect for him and for most high school teachers since then.
That fucking sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks. Um, I was I'm grateful that I had a lot of great teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the teachers I had were horrific, and But as I said, I'm so lucky that I was in center that I was, because so many people think that it's an elite thing that only people who want to feel smart go to or something, but it's actually the opposite of that. It's actually people who want uh want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't go there and suddenly people are like, yo, so you're smart. No, 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 no. You go there and suddenly you realize how dumb you are, and you
Mm-hmm.
love that you're dumb, and you just want to learn. And there is so many, I'm so grateful that I don't know, that I could just learn from all these different people, from all these different science disciplines,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
um, and they could explain, and so many different opinions, and it's so much better than regular high school, because if I was in regular high school, I wouldn't stay interested in science
Mm-hmm.
the way that I am now. And I'm so grateful for
Mm-hmm.
them, and I'm yeah, because some teachers are just horrific. And it's sad because they do impact the future generations. It's really sad to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so sad when people tell me that they were interested in science and that they gave up because of a stupid teacher who were too proudful to do something, or who just thought badly. And I don't know. It just makes me really sad to think about it. Um but yeah, I think that there is a chance for everything. And when I say that, I don't mean like there is one chance and then you waste it and can't get. But there is like opportunity that maybe one day you can just say, you know what, I would like to study about it. Maybe I will never become actually anything near that profession, but I can learn about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I can read a lot of scientific papers about it and try to understand what they're trying to say, and it can be very, very fun. um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I I don't know. I get really sad when I hear that people are discouraged because of their teachers.
Well, I can't blame my teacher. Like, I had to take responsibility for my choices, right? The truth is, I didn't like doing homework. I didn't like math. I didn't like applying myself to these difficult things. If I applied myself, then of course I could have done it. But I guess to me, I enjoy learning physics these days. I enjoy learning about some mathematical concepts through physics, and I enjoy philosophy
Mm.
and physics being connected. So, it's to me, high school was really just a bump in the road. I rebuilt most of my curiosity after high school crushed it. So I don't like, yeah, it sucks that some of my most formative years were spent poorly, but now I just have to do what I can with the rest of my years, right? Which are
I mean,
like
I
four
would
times as
never
many as I
say.
have. Yeah.
No, no, no. Sorry, finish.
No, but I just mean that I have like 70% of my life ahead of me, right? So there's still
Yeah,
lots.
and
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that really think that you're not. It's not too late for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if one day you decide, you know what, I want to get in college, and like at 40, I want to get in college and finish a degree to do something in life, like it, it's not too late. And it's not too late to say that you don't want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in it. I don't believe in, oh, I wasted 10 years or I wasted something, because you didn't waste if you learned something from it. You didn't waste something um if you just, I don't know, try to survive it. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't waste something. You're not wasting time. Nobody is wasting time. They're just investing time in different things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't want to invest my time in this, and this would be a waste of my time, but if I learn something, then I'm happy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same way.
and
I love learning.
and I would never say that it's too late to pursue anything that you want.
Mm-hmm.
People told me that it's too late to get into dance. Like, you need to start when you're really young. And I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to do ballet when I was little. Like, when I was small, I really wanted to go to ballet class.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents never actually supported that.
Why
They
not?
were like, they told me that I'm like too chubby, that I don't have taste, not taste, but like I don't have rhythm. I don't belong there. I'm not that type of a person. Even though I was like 5, I'm not any type of a person. I'm 5. um, so and then I was interested in tango when I was like 20, and
Mm-hmm.
people are like, it's too late to get into dance, and here I am. I'm not. It wasn't too late.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still enjoying it. I'm still going to the parties. I'm still respected in the community. I still enjoy it. Like, it wasn't late. It wasn't too late. Or like, for example, my professor at university, one of my favorite professors, um, he didn't study geography for 4 years after he finished high school because his parents wanted him to study economics.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay, I will study economics because like that's where money lies, but I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
And he was miserable there. He didn't want to do that. And then he decided, you know what? No, I want to study geography. I want to be outside. I want to study nature. That's something that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is. He's a professor now. Like, it wasn't too late for him 4 years after he graduated, because some people here think that a lot of students don't make gap years because they think that's like wasting time, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, if you get a gap year, that means that you're lazy, like you're not on time with your generation. You have to finish high school with your, I mean, yeah, most people just finish high school with their generation, but you have to finish university with your generation. You have to it's if you like, if you make a gap year, you're like, oh, they're lazy, they're not doing anything with their lives, which is quite sad. I think that's pathetic to think of, like, to shame people for taking a year break or something.
Mm-hmm.
um but so many people, it wasn't too late for them, even after 4 gap years. Even after, I know a person that didn't know if they wanted to go to college,
Mm-hmm.
and then after 10 years of not knowing, they were like, you know what, I found the thing that is really interesting to me. I want to go to college after 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they just started doing that, and they are right now one of the most successful people in that field. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not too late. I hate that a lot of things are viewed as you're either a child prodigy or you're useless, which is, I just, it makes me so angry that some people think about that.
I understand. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't want to. I think it's. I had a colleague who we had this discussion about this, and I guess I asked him, like, is the reason you think people are fixed, or because he had this belief that some people just aren't born with the brains to do quantum physics. And I told him I don't think that's true. I think any mind can learn it. All brains are universal computers. So your mind can learn anything given the right step-by-step process that you just have to figure out.
I
And
mean,
he
if your brain is just not interested in it,
then
then it's
sure.
probably then you're probably not fit for that profession. But that's not because you're too stupid for that. It's because you're not interested in that.
Right. He believed there were physical limitations like working memory limits or things like that that would just stop you from being able to learn. But I mean, we've been solving working memory for. We invented writing. We invented. We learned to chunk concepts into simpler concepts that expand covered more ground, so we could have to remember less individual items and all that. But yeah, it made me realize like maybe some people have this belief that it's an excuse, right? It's a way to let themselves off the hook because now they're too old to do it, so why try? And
It
if there's
makes
no
me
reason to
sad
try,
sometimes. Yeah, it
yeah.
makes me sad that some people have that belief because they're limiting themselves,
Hmm.
and like it's never too late. It's actually never too late. And like about the intelligence thing and like limitations to what type of intelligence can be for what type of profession, that's, in my opinion, that's bullshit. With all due respect to all psychologists and everybody, I think that's bullshit.
Hmm.
Like, I absolutely think that people can learn if they're interested in something.
Hmm.
uh that and as someone who, my dad is really obsessed with his daughter being the best at everything, and me being in all the best thing, just being on top of my class, being like the best player in volleyball team or something, and he made me do the Mensa test, the like high IQ community thingy, and I took it, and I was in Mensa for a time. I don't know if I'm still a member. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember going on one of the meetings because my dad was like, "Oh, go there. Those are high IQ people," and I was like, "There is nothing special about those people that is like he." It's arbitrary. It doesn't serve it's nothing.
Hmm.
It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say if they're passionate. It doesn't say if they want to learn things. It
Hmm.
just, you can solve patterns. That's it. That's it.
Hmm.
And like, I don't want to disrespect the psychology field because I do think that they can provide a lot to society, and like I'm sorry, my door is opening. Um I think that a lot of those things can be used for better purpose than just putting people on a pedestal they do not deserve.
Hmm.
It makes no sense. Or putting people down because they do not solve patterns as well as the others. Because maybe they're not supposed to solve patterns. Maybe their mind is working a completely different way and is useful in something that is really like big, and you just, I don't know. I just think it's bullshit that people are limiting each other in that type of way. It means nothing. The, there is no actual limitation if you think about it.
No, there isn't.
Okay, maybe
IQ.
not physical in that type of way, like born with it or not born with it. It's very much like League. A lot of players are born talented, but they wouldn't be where they are if they didn't get good at stuff.
Hmm. And the same principles apply that Coach Cupcake teaches in League as to life, which is you have to take responsibility, you have to focus on what you can control, you have to learn to be more afraid of missing opportunities than of making mistakes. Because in life, so many people hold back for fear of failure, but then the lack of failure means that they never succeed.
Yeah, and the like success and failure and everything like that, it 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 boggles my mind that we deem certain abilities and certain professions and certain people, we deem them as failures just because they are not traditionally successful. When I say traditionally, I mean they don't earn as much money,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't do like quote unquote. I think that it's similar in your culture as well as mine, that people like put people like doctors and lawyers and I don't know, people like that on a pedestal. And
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate those professions, don't get me wrong. I very much respect what they're people doing. I very much respect every profession.
Mm-hmm.
And but I will not say that some professions are more useful or people who are in those professions are more successful because they're in certain professions rather than others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still appreciate doctors. They save lives. They are serving the community and they are doing their fucking best, and I appreciate and I respect them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that people in quote unquote failed like cashiers or people that in our culture are deemed as quote unquote failures, they are very much contributing to the society. They are very much helping. They're very much like I really fucking hate that we see some professions and some career paths or some salaries as failures
Mm-hmm.
just because it doesn't fit into something that somebody said it's success, you know.
Right. You define your own success.
Yeah, yes. I'm sorry I went off to a different path with your initial thought, but that's what I thought when you said success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because success can be so many things. And to me, failure is when you fail to be a decent human being rather than some arbitrary number of your dollars in your bank account, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense to me. People should define their own success and not let societal standards dictate it fully. They can use that as inspiration, but yeah, it shouldn't be the final say. I do have another question. Let me see. Looking back, could you have predicted where your life would end up today? Like, let's say 5 years? Because if I look back 5 years ago, I could not have predicted that I would have, two startups, be working on a new career, and have a podcast as well, and all of these things running at the same time. I wouldn't have even imagined I'd have one business of any kind. I thought it was so hard to start a business. I never realized it would be like, just start doing stuff, start helping people, and you have it.
Mm, let me think.
Hmm.
In professional and in
In
um
any area in life.
so in professional and educational area, I definitely could
Hmm.
predict, and I'm exactly where I thought I would be with
Hmm.
my professional and educational life and everything.
Hmm.
But with my personal life, I don't think I could predict it. Yeah, definitely, I couldn't. A lot of things happened since then.
What changed?
um, Positive or negative?
Why not both?
Well, a lot of things that were out of my control happened
Hmm.
that were just unimaginable.
Hmm.
My mom passed away, my grandma passed away, and it was a really big hit, you know.
Hmm.
They like my mom was like my I was closer to my mom than I was to my dad, and that was really big. And I
Hmm.
definitely 5 years ago, I would never say that that would have happened anytime soon, but
Hmm.
yeah, I couldn't predict that, obviously. Um, but I also couldn't predict that I would find a community that I would fit in, for example, like Pool of Support is, or
Hmm.
the tango community I'm in, or
Hmm.
find some awesome people in my university that are very supportive. I couldn't imagine that I would start like working on myself in a way like therapy and healing and stuff like that. I thought that I will be quote unquote broken forever, but I
Hmm.
I wasn't, and there is still ups and downs, but it's better than it was.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's stuff that I couldn't have predicted even a year ago, let alone 5 years, when it comes to like personal life. But when I think about professional or education, I am definitely where I planned to be.
It's interesting, and I'm sorry to hear that your mother and grandmother passed away. My condolences.
Uh, I'm not sure what you're supposed to say after somebody says like thank you or it's okay. I'm not sure, so
I
thank
think
you.
any of those can work. Yeah, thank you can work. I guess it's okay can also work, kind of. Depends. Some people say it was a long time ago if they believe they've healed already and they don't want the other person to feel bad. Um, yeah, there are a couple of options. But I'm surprised that that did not actually impact your plan or professional or educational at all, that you're still on track despite all those external things happening outside of your control. Were there any choices that you
Um,
made to navigate that time that you would look back and view as exceptional?
um, I would just say that I'm at university studying a thing that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept me my curiosity kept going,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like it was kind of a distraction for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually quite a good student. So I just was on a roll. And right now I'm kind of in a burnout. I'm facing a lot of challenges in my university.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know. I'm not closed to the idea that maybe something changes and that I will adapt and
Mm-hmm.
that I will have to have a change of plans. But I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did because like that in my professional life, I mean in the education and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I would think that a choice that I made was just to um as you said, people want to run away from the dark. People
Mm-hmm.
want to run away from death. People want to run away from everything that makes them feel their mortality, you know. But I learned how to face mortality of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to deal with it, and I just chose to live my life to the best of my ability and to just express myself in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how mortal we all are, it just made me realize I can how I can just hmm, I should strive to be the absolute best in something that I want to. And when I say absolute best, I don't mean objective best,
Mm-hmm.
the best in the world or something. I mean my personal best. If I'm able to say that I gave my all, I will be happy in the end,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And yeah, I think that's what kept me on track with university because I wanted to somehow also um leave my mother's legacy. Like I know that she would be proud of me,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes me really happy.
How do you think her death affected your father?
Oh, it crushed him. Absolutely crushed him. Especially because, you know, to a person that you choose to spend your life with, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
To me, she was my mother. Like, it's a love that will, unless it's really unhealthy, it's type of love that can never be broken.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just um, do not get me wrong. I understand that people have difficult relationships with their parents
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and I have a very difficult relationship with my father. But I'm not shaming anybody who is might cut off their family, because I absolutely understand that some mothers are not meant to be mothers, that some mothers are not as loving as a mother should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm lucky to say that my mother wasn't like that, and that her love was absolutely the love that every child would want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's type of love that it's it can't be broken. And also my grandma, she was a daughter, so it can't be broken. And to family that is related to her cousin, like, we are really here, we don't have we have a word cousin, but it means like distant relative.
Mm-hmm.
When we say like cousin, for example, my mother's brother from aunt or something, we say he's not my we differentiate between uncle and aunt on each side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different. We are much closer to our relatives, and we say brother from my aunt instead of cousin, because we do feel like siblings. So
Mm.
that type of love with my uncle and my mother, it's something that also cannot be easily broken. But my dad chose to spend his life with my mother, and they they chose to marry, to have a kid. They wanted even two kids, but unfortunately it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
They spent their life together, and he chose to do that, and
Mm-hmm.
she chose to do that with him. And I think that hurts a lot, and I'm aware of it. Um, yeah, he is crushed. He's absolutely crushed, and um, he has hard time dealing with it. And he's type of person that is too prideful and thinks that therapy is for weak people.
Mm-hmm.
So he won't seek therapy unless it's like really bad, in which case, like, I don't know. So he's since her death, he became much more angry, um, much more agitated. I have to walk like I'm on eggshells around the house.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it changed him a lot. We had a really difficult relationship even before that, but now it's like unimaginable. Yeah,
How
that
long ago was
that's
this?
in 2021. Yeah.
Mm. Quite recent. 2 years.
Yes, 2 years ago
How
in
would you
February.
how would you describe his grieving process?
Mm, I would he I definitely know that he's really sad
Mm.
and that he grieves a lot every day, and that hole will never be fully filled in his heart, just like mine. But he's trying to be strong, He's trying to be strong for me. Um, and I'm trying to be strong for him. It is true that I was more of a parent for him than he was a parent for me after that.
Mm.
Even before that, but especially after.
In what
But
ways?
well, I had to regulate his emotions more than he had to regulate mine.
Mm.
I had I had you know, I was always told to try to understand him, and I did. I am still trying to understand him. But it sometimes hurt that um, it was never the other way around, you know? But I'm dealing with it, it's fine. And, he was, he, he also, he got sick before mom did,
Mm-hmm.
and he had cancer before that, and he survived, and he's okay now. But I think that there is a lot of survival's
So
guilt.
yeah,
If I said it correctly,
survivor's guilt. Yeah.
yeah. And he's really having a tough time because after his death, after his like victory over how is it victory? How do you say like
I guess,
he?
yeah, he beat cancer, I guess is what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to retire. He retired,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom was the sole, not sole, but like he was the bigger provider for our family.
Okay.
So after she died, um, he has a hard time understanding that he's not working anymore, that he's retired, and that he's now, quote unquote, a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
Like that he's in the house, that he's cooking the dinner, that he's. And like he never would have said that uh, if my mom was alive or when he retired first.
Mm-hmm.
He would never. He would. It was never in our household. It was never women do that and men do that, and it was very much up to each person's ability. Like who is best at what. My dad would do the floors and vacuuming and dusting, and my mom would cook the dinner and I don't know, wash the dishes or whatever. And I mean, I would also like help around the house.
Mm-hmm.
But since she passed, he has very hard time dealing with it, and our relationship has gone to like it's gone bad.
Mm-hmm.
um, but I don't think that like he became codependent. He's yeah, he's very much codependent on me,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like I'm an extension of him. That I'm not my own person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like Gia. I'm not. I'm my dad number two. So that's really tough, but we're dealing with it. It's gonna be fine. Everything is temporary.
Mm-hmm. I
Do you
just
have
want
any
to
more questions?
I just want to gently remind you that we're at about 1 hour 28 minutes, so we have
Mm-hmm.
about 2 minutes to wrap up the episode. So, is there anything you'd
Okay.
like to leave our listeners with?
Hmm. Let me think for a moment. I think that I probably have, but let me just think about the sentence. Okay, I would love to tell everybody who's listening that um, they should appreciate themselves. They should appreciate the life they're given. That it's never too late to have any positive changes, and it's never too late to appreciate the art, the beauty, everything that everybody else is running away from. To accept your mortality, to explore all the things that interest you in the world, because I value I value knowledge a lot, and I would never gatekeep knowledge, and I would love everybody to know that you just seek knowledge. Just seek knowledge, and everything will like sort itself out in the end.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you, Ligea. It was great having you on.
Thank you for having me. It was a very fun talk.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I believe what time is it there for you now?
It's 6:40.
Okay, it's 9:39 a.m. here. So yeah, have a great evening and night.
Thank you.
And
Have
yeah,
a great day.
thank you. All right, see you. Take care.
See ya.